Police! Get on the ground! Yo, what is he doing? Put your hands behind your back.
Officer Robert shouted a command as he pressed the accelerator of his Baltimore Police Department cruiser. It was October 28, 2024, around 9:45 p.m. in West Baltimore. Robert was chasing a man on foot, someone who'd allegedly been involved in a drug transaction. But Robert wasn't just chasing. He was hunting. The surveillance camera from a nearby business captured everything. Robert drives his police cruiser onto the sidewalk, accelerating toward the fleeing man. The cruiser struck the man, sending him flying through the air. The man crashed into the ground, motionless. Then Robert got out of his vehicle and approached the injured man with handcuffs. October 28, 2024. A routine drug investigation in Baltimore turned into an attempted murder charge against a police officer. The video went viral within 48 hours. The Baltimore Police Department placed Robert on administrative leave. The Maryland State's Attorney charged him with attempted second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and reckless endangerment. Robert faces up to 65 years in prison if convicted on all counts. This is a story of how a Baltimore police officer allegedly tried to run over a suspect with his patrol car, how surveillance footage captured the entire incident, how the officer's history revealed a pattern of misconduct, and how the case that's still pending trial could determine whether police who use vehicles as weapons face real accountability. Before we dive deeper into this absolutely shocking story, I need you to do something. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from, your country, your state, wherever you are. And if you believe in holding authority figures accountable when they abuse their power, hit that subscribe button. October 28th, 2024. West Baltimore, Maryland. The neighborhood of Sandtown, Winchester, one of the city's most economically challenged areas. High poverty rates, high crime rates, heavy police presence. Officer Robert, 34 years old, had been with the Baltimore Police Department for 8 years. He was assigned to the Special Enforcement Section, a unit focused on drug interdiction and street-level crime. That Monday evening, Robert and his partner were conducting surveillance for suspected drug activity. They observed a man they believed was involved in a hand-to-hand drug transaction near the corner of North Stricker Street and West Landvale Street. When Robert and his partner approached, the man ran. Foot pursuits are common in Baltimore. Standard procedure. Officers chase on foot, call for backup, establish a perimeter, apprehend the suspect. Vehicles are used to create barriers or transport officers to cut off points, not as weapons. But Robert had a different idea. Instead of chasing on foot, he got in his patrol car. He drove onto the sidewalk where the man was running. And according to prosecutors, he deliberately accelerated toward the fleeing suspect with the intent to strike him. The surveillance camera mounted on a nearby building captured everything. And what it showed would lead to Robert being charged with attempted murder. The surveillance footage is approximately 18 seconds long, but those 18 seconds tell a complete story. Second 1 to 4, a man is seen running down the sidewalk, looking back over his shoulder. He's moving fast but not erratically, just running. Second 5 to 8, a Baltimore police cruiser appears in frame, driving onto the sidewalk. The cruiser is moving at significant speed. Investigators later estimated 25 to 30 miles per hour. Second 9 to 11, the cruiser accelerates directly toward the running man. No swerving, no braking, a straight line toward the target. Second 12, impact. The front of the cruiser strikes the man from behind. His body is thrown forward and upward, airborne for a moment, then crashes to the pavement about 15 feet from the impact point. Second 13 to 15, the cruiser stops. The driver's door opens. Officer Robert exits the vehicle. Second 16 to 18, Robert approaches a motionless man on the ground, handcuffs visible in his hand. The victim, later identified as 29-year-old Marcus Johnson, suffered broken leg, compound fracture, multiple rib fractures, concussion, road rash and lacerations, internal bruising. He was transported to shock trauma at University of Maryland Medical Center in critical condition, but Officer Robert, Initial report told a very different story than the video showed. Officer Robert filed an incident report that night describing what happened. The report stated, while pursuing the suspect on foot, the subject suddenly reversed direction and ran directly into the path of my patrol vehicle. I attempted a brake, but was unable to avoid contact. The subject was struck by a vehicle due to his own reckless actions. The subject was apprehended and transported to hospital for evaluation. According to Robert's version, Marcus Johnson ran into the police car. An accident. Unavoidable. The suspect's fault. But the surveillance video showed something completely different. Johnson never reversed direction. He was running straight down the sidewalk when Cruiser drove onto the sidewalk behind him and accelerated directly toward him. Johnson didn't run into the car. The car ran into him from behind. Robert's report was a lie. Documented. On camera. His supervisor, Sergeant Thomas Williams, reviewed the report and approved it without requesting the surveillance footage. Standard practice in Baltimore PD. Trust the officer's account unless there's reason not to. But a witness to the incident had a different idea about what happened, and that witness went directly to the media. Within 24 hours, local news outlets had obtained the surveillance footage, and Officer Robert lie was exposed for the entire city to see. October 29, 2024. Bal TV Baltimore aired the surveillance footage during their evening news broadcast with the headline, Baltimore officer appears to deliberately strike suspect with patrol car. The video was shocking. Even in a city accustomed to police misconduct scandals, this was extreme. A police officer using his cruiser as a weapon, running over a fleeing suspect, then lying about it in his report. Within hours, the video had been viewed over 500,000 times on social media. By the next day, over 2 million. National news outlets picked it up. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Everyone was showing the 18-second clip of a Baltimore cop running over suspect. The Baltimore Police Department issued a statement. We are aware of the video showing an officer-involved incident from October 28th. The officer has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation by our Internal Affairs Division and the Maryland Office of the Attorney General. We take these allegations extremely seriously. But Baltimore residents had heard these statements before. The city had paid out over $13 million in police misconduct settlements in the previous year alone. Police reform efforts had stalled. Trust between community and law enforcement was at an all-time low. Civil rights organizations demanded immediate action. The NAACP called for Robert's arrest and termination. Community activists organized protests outside Baltimore police headquarters. And Maryland State's Attorney Ivan made a decision that would shock the law enforcement community. November 12, 2024. Just 15 days after the incident, Maryland State's Attorney Ivan announced that Officer Robert had been indicted by a grand jury on the following charges. Attempted second-degree murder. Robert allegedly intended to kill or cause life-threatening harm by striking Johnson with his vehicle. Maximum sentence, 30 years. First-degree assault. Robert caused serious physical injury using a deadly weapon, a patrol car. Maximum sentence, 25 years. Reckless endangerment. Robert recklessly created substantial risk of death or serious injury. Maximum sentence, 5 years. Misconduct in office. Robert violated his oath and duties as a police officer. Maximum sentence, 5 years. Total potential prison time, 65 years. The indictment was remarkable for its speed and severity. Police officers are rarely charged criminally for on-duty conduct. When they are charged, it's usually after months or years of investigation. And the charges are usually lesser offenses: manslaughter instead of murder, simple assault instead of first degree. But Ivan, Baltimore's first African-American state's attorney, had made police accountability a cornerstone of his administration. The video evidence was clear. The lie in the police report was documented. And the severity of the injury, Marcus Johnson had nearly died, warranted the most serious charges. But as prosecutors dug deeper into Officer Robert's history, they discovered this wasn't his first act of violence or dishonesty. Internal affairs records, obtained through discovery by prosecutors, revealed Officer Robert had a troubling history. 2018. Complaint of excessive force during arrest. The subject claimed Robert slammed his head against a patrol car repeatedly. Complaint dismissed as unsubstantiated. 2019. Written reprimand for failure to activate body camera during arrest. Robert claimed the camera malfunctioned. The department accepted the explanation. 2020. Complaint of excessive force. The subject claimed Robert punched him multiple times while handcuffed. Complaint dismissed. Robert claimed the subject was resisting. 2021. Second written reprimand for body camera violations. Multiple incidents where Robert camera was mysteriously deactivated during arrests or use of force incidents. 2022. Complaint alleging false arrest and planted evidence. The subject claimed Robert planted drugs in his vehicle. Case dismissed when Robert testified the drugs were in plain view. Subject convicted and later released when conviction was overturned on appeal due to inconsistencies in Robert testimony. 2023. Complaint of racial profiling and harassment. Subject, an African-American professional, claimed Robert stopped him without cause and conducted an invasive search. Complaint dismissed. In 8 years on the force, Robert had 6 formal complaints, 2 written reprimands, and a pattern of body camera malfunctions during critical incidents. Yet he remained on active duty, working Baltimore streets, making arrests using force. The Baltimore Police Department had ignored every warning sign, and Marcus Johnson paid the price. Marcus Johnson survived being run over by Officer Robert, patrol car, but his life was permanently changed. Johnson, 29, had been working construction jobs and living with his mother in West Baltimore. He had a prior criminal record, drug possession charges from years earlier, but had been clean and employed for over 2 years. On the night of October 28th, Johnson admits he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was walking through the neighborhood when he saw police approaching. Knowing his past record and fearing another arrest, he ran. "I panicked," Johnson told reporters from his hospital bed. "I know I shouldn't have run, but I didn't have anything illegal on me. I just got scared when I saw the cops. So I ran. I thought worst case, they'd chase me, catch me, maybe rough me up a bit. I never thought a cop would try to kill me with his car." The medical bills from Johnson's injuries exceeded $200,000. His broken leg required multiple surgeries. He can't return to construction work. He walks with a permanent limp. His mother, Patricia Johnson, described watching the surveillance video. "When I saw that video of the police car hitting my son, I thought I was watching him die. The way his body flew through the air, I thought he was dead. And that officer just got out and walked over to handcuff him like he'd just arrested a criminal, not nearly killed someone." Johnson filed a federal civil rights lawsuit seeking $5 million in damages. But his bigger concern was whether Officer Robert would actually face consequences. And the upcoming trial would determine that. Officer Robert pleaded not guilty to all charges. His attorney, Thomas Bradford, a well-known Baltimore defense lawyer, who specialized in representing police officers, outlined the defense strategy in pretrial motions. Defense Claim 1, split-second decision. Bradford argued that Robert made a split-second decision during a high-stress pursuit. Johnson was fleeing from a suspected drug transaction. Robert believed Johnson might be armed or dangerous. Using the vehicle to stop Johnson was an attempt to prevent a potentially dangerous suspect from escaping, not an attempt to kill him. Defense Claim 2, accident, not intent. The defense claimed Robert intended to block Johnson's path with the cruiser, not strike him. Johnson's sudden movement caused a contact. It was an accident during a lawful pursuit, not attempted murder. Defense Claim 3, justified use of force. Under Maryland law, police can use reasonable force to effectuate arrests. Robert will argue that using his vehicle to stop a fleeing suspect falls within his authority as a police officer, especially if he believed Johnson posed a danger. Defense Claim 4, departmental training. The defense obtained Baltimore PD training materials suggesting that officers are trained to use vehicles strategically during pursuits. Robert will argue he was following his training. The prosecution responded to each defense argument. The surveillance video shows deliberate acceleration toward Johnson, not an attempt to block his path. The impact occurred from behind, contradicting claims of Johnson's sudden movement. The force used, ramming a suspect with a 4,000-pound vehicle, was grossly excessive, and department policy explicitly prohibits using vehicles as weapons. The trial is scheduled for March 2025, and the outcome will determine whether police who use vehicles as deadly weapons face real accountability. The Robert case is part of a larger pattern of police using vehicles as weapons against suspects, often with minimal consequences. 2020 New York. NYPD officer drove SUV into protesters. No charges filed. The officer claimed protesters attacked his vehicle first. 2021 Seattle. Officer drove patrol car at protester, striking them. The city paid a $500,000 settlement. The officer received a written reprimand. 2022 Atlanta. Officer struck fleeing suspect with patrol car, causing permanent injuries. Qualified immunity protected officers from civil liability. No criminal charges. 2023 Los Angeles. Officer pursued suspect, struck them with cruiser at high speed. Suspect died. Officer cleared by internal investigation as justified use of force. The Robert case is different because clear video evidence showing deliberate action. State's attorney willing to file serious charges. Officer's false report documented. Pattern of prior misconduct revealed. If Robert is convicted, it would send a message that police cannot use vehicles as weapons with impunity. If he's acquitted, it would confirm that police have near immunity even when video contradicts their version of events. As of late 2024, the case is proceeding toward trial, and Marcus Johnson waits to see if the officer who nearly killed him will face justice. As of December 2024, Officer Robert remains free on $250,000 bail posted by his police union's legal defense fund. He's under house arrest with GPS monitoring. Marcus Johnson continues physical therapy for his injuries. His permanent limp serves as a daily reminder of what happened that October night. Pretrial motions continue. The prosecution wants to introduce evidence of Robert prior complaints to show a pattern of excessive force and dishonesty. The defense argues this would prejudice the jury. The defense wants to exclude evidence of Johnson's criminal history from being mentioned by prosecutors. But they want to introduce it during their case to suggest Robert had reason to view Johnson as dangerous. Both sides are fighting over jury instructions on what constitutes attempted murder versus reckless endangerment. The distinction will determine whether Robert faces 30 years or probation. The trial is scheduled to begin in March 2025. It's expected to last 2 to 3 weeks. Baltimore watches and waits. Will this be another case where video evidence of police misconduct leads to accountability? Or another case where the system protects its own? Marcus Johnson told reporters, "I just want justice. That officer tried to kill me, then lied about it. I want him to face the same consequences any regular person would face for running someone over with a car." The Bodycam wasn't on, but the surveillance camera caught everything. And whether that's enough to convict a police officer of attempted murder will be decided by a Baltimore jury in 2025. As of December 2024, Officer Robert is charged with attempted murder, first-degree assault, reckless endangerment, and misconduct in office. He faces up to 65 years in prison if convicted on all counts. Trial is scheduled for March 2025. He remains free on bail under house arrest. Marcus Johnson is recovering from his injuries and pursuing a $5 million civil lawsuit. The surveillance video has been viewed over 10 million times. This case is ongoing. The outcome will determine whether police who use vehicles as weapons face real accountability, or whether the badge continues to provide immunity even when cameras capture the crime.